I administered the ABAS 3. My district does not use the Vineland, so I'm going to reflect on the ABAS 3. My general thoughts are that this adaptive behavior assessment just gives a variety of information for the skills that students need to develop for their functional living as they grow, mature into adults. I thought that the rating scale was very easy to use. It was easy to explain to the parent that I gave it to. And I think that the simplicity of never, sometimes, always, which correlated to a 1, 2, 3. And then there was a 0 score if the student is not able to at all. Was just very parent friendly. It didn't open up too much subjectivity. So I liked that part of the ABAS. Additionally, I thought that the language that was used for defining the skills for parents was very easy to understand. It was not heavily educational, just very straightforward, and also provided different examples for some of the skills, which I found to be helpful. For example, when they talked about obeying common signs, they defined what that would be, like a do not enter, an exit sign. So that's helpful for parents who may not have as much of a background in functional living skills. One of the things that I didn't like as much, I worked with a parent of a 7-year-old. So what I didn't like was just I felt like the questions very quickly became skills that would be for an older child. So although I know this can be used for, the parent form is used for students from 5 to 21 years old, it seemed like younger students would reach a ceiling, which I don't believe the ABAS 3 had a ceiling as part of their scoring component. That's not something I was informed of. It was scored more, just the raw score. But I did feel like, as a parent, you may feel like your child is not performing very well in a lot of things when really they're just not a lot of the things were not age appropriate for a younger child. I did think the scoring was fairly easy to do. The only part that I was directly involved in was just adding up the raw score. There is a separate person in my district who runs the computer scoring for the ABAS 3 for the diagnosticians, so I turned over my raw scores to her. She put it into the system and then sent me back the final report. I'm not sure if that's common or if that's just how it's done in my district, but for me it was a fairly easy process of just adding up the numbers. What I found hard about the administration and the scoring part of the ABAS 3 is just the report that I was given had a lot of different charts and tables, and this actually leads into my question, which was just, which one am I supposed to really use in terms of data to report? I predominantly focused on just the tables that gave the standard scores, the percentile ranks, the interval ranges for the confidence intervals, and then there was a separate page that included a bell curve, and then kind of broke down the different domains and skill sets. So it was visually pretty easy to understand, but then following that there was another page that was just full of tables and charts. I'm going to take a quick look at it actually. That just were options for optional analyses. So it looked like this. And I just wasn't really sure when this type of information would be pulled into a report or if it was just for my own personal understanding for the reliability of the assessment or the validity of the assessment. So this is something I'm still wondering about, this page here. In regards to the contribution to the comprehensive assessment for a student for special education who's under evaluation for special education, I think including an adaptive behavior assessment, regardless of which one it is, just allows for a more well-rounded picture of the child. It gives us information beyond their academic skills and provides skills about how they're functioning at school, but also how they're functioning at home, which is really important when you are considering a disability for a child. So overall, this was a very informative process, and I definitely have a lot of growth and learning to continue to do, but I appreciated the opportunity to start to try different protocols.